Good morning, and welcome to another Tuesday edition of 10 with Tom. We are getting awfully close to Christmas. It's December 15th, and we are rolling toward it. And so, a lot of things going on here at the Village Church, and we'll clue you in on those at the end. But today, I want to start off by talking a little bit about friendship as it relates to competition. It always seems like somebody's in competition for something. We all compete for jobs, for grades in school. We compete on athletic fields, in art contests. Some of our favorite shows are people competing with their music skills, their dancing skills. There's just so much competition. And in our society, a lot of times that competition gets ugly. Not that the competitors usually get ugly, but it's the supporters of the participants that can get ugly. For instance, you'll hear people say, well, I hate the Gators, or I hate the Seminoles, or I hate the Bulldogs, or I hate the Jaguars, or I hate the Titans, or I hate the Steelers, whatever it might be. And the fact is, we might hate a culture, but we don't hate the people involved. And when you watch the athletes compete against each other, when they're going out there with everything they have because they want to win. But at the same time, when the game is over, you see them embracing and talking because they appreciate the effort that each person puts into it. And it's good for us to have friends in competition, to have somebody who's a welcome rival, who pushes us to do better. Most athletes will be able to tell you that there was somebody that helped drive them to become better at their particular sport, or better at a particular subject that they've excelled in because somebody was there to push them along the way. A lot of times, and when we're really honest, it's that sharpening that we get from other people that helps us to become who we are. And so we see that as they develop friendships, even in competition against one another, how much they appreciate the fact that what the Bible calls iron sharpening iron. That when you're competing against somebody as good or better than you, it's going to make you better. I used to umpire baseball games, and there was a baseball team in a small town, a kids team, and every year they were undefeated. They had a great coach, and he got a lot out of his players year after year after year after year. But I happened to umpire a game one time, and the team they were playing had a chance. They had good athletes, they were good players, and it was a mental thing. They just didn't know if they could beat them. Well, in the weeks leading up to their game, a lot of them had older brothers who came down and practiced with them and didn't go easy on them. They worked them hard. And so when the big game finally came, they weren't intimidated by kids their own age, even though they hadn't lost a game in 4 or 5 years, because they knew if they could play against their older brothers who were better, they certainly could play against kids their own age. And the result was it was an epic game, but they won the game in extra innings, set off a wild celebration. But they had been made better through that constant losing to their older siblings. It drove them to be better. It drove them to compete. And so when we're in competition against each other, competitors cheer for one another. They support one another because they insist that they're inspiring each other. All right, they instill in us a passion to do better. And so don't let competition scare you, but let it be something that becomes a positive driving force in your life. I look at a couple other examples of where this competitive nature doesn't have to be ugly. I was watching the Boise State Brigham Young football game earlier this year, and Brigham Young had a really good team this year, and they went into Boise and really put a thumping on the Broncos. And when the game was over, I think the score was 41-7. Boise State's team gathered as they always do for prayer at the center of the field after the game, and the BYU players came over and joined with them, and they huddled together, two teams in prayer together, celebrating each other's gifts, the fact that everybody had made it through safely. And it was a neat thing to watch, to see that they appreciated one another. And so that's so important. And so, whatever it is that you're competing in, be thankful for those who compete against you. Appreciate their efforts, learn from them, and drive one another, spur each other on. The verse I shared, Proverbs 27:17, iron sharpens iron, and one person sharpens another. Right? Now, a lot of folks around here know that Florida and Florida State are big rivals, and they played a basketball game on Saturday, and the outcome of the game wasn't very important when it was all over. Not because the teams didn't compete hard, but because a member of Florida's team, Keontae Johnson, collapsed during the game, and yesterday he was put in a medically induced coma. And so I encourage you to pray for Keontae Johnson, that God would do something and bring healing to his body, because he's in critical condition. And we don't know all the details of why it happened, but this is something that Florida and Florida State fans agree on. We don't want to see a young life taken. We appreciate the competitive nature of the rivalry, but we don't want to see anybody suffer. And so they have come together, and there's been some great back and forth between the universities and the boosters, and just support. And I noticed that a few years ago, Nice and Ponte Vedra, big rivals on that Friday night when they play each other. There's a lot of angry, we're going to go kill the other team kind of thing. But I remember when Ponte Vedra's principal passed away, and the Nice students wore T-shirts to honor their rivals at Ponte Vedra and let them know that we're with you in this. We know what it's like to go through tough times. And so that's what rivalries are really all about, being spurring one another on. All right? Ecclesiastes 4:9-10 says that two are better than one because they have a good reward for their efforts. For if either falls, his companion can lift him up. But pity the one who falls without another to lift him up. And then 1 John 4, verse 7. Friends, let us love one another, because love is from God, and everyone who loves has been born of God and knows God. All right? So love those you compete with. Love to compete. All right? But play for the joy of the game, to get better. Allow your opponents to make you better, to push you, to inspire you. Let the hate go. There's no room for that in sports. So that's what we have for you today, just that little bit of encouragement. Keep encouraging one another, spurring one another on, appreciating one another, and know that competition's a good thing. It's nothing to be feared. And it's okay to lose sometimes, because it's often in the losses that we learn the lessons that are going to take us much further in life. All right, so that's what we have for you today. A couple of updates on some things that are going on. We do have Refresh tomorrow night, 6:30, and as always, that'll be available on our Facebook page at the Village Church. And you can also join us on YouTube. It'll be a little bit probably after the service. But the service is Wednesday night, 6:30 to 8, and we'll have a great time. We're going to be playing some handball as well, and so come prepared to do some running and having a good time. Then Friday night is our Christmas party, and so we're encouraging everybody to bring a gift. Make sure it's wrapped, it's appropriate for anybody. There's a spending limit of $14. We also want to encourage everybody to bring $14, because on that night we will be taking an offering to encourage students in Haiti and to provide for some needs for one of our mission partners in Haiti. So that'll be a special Christmas gift that we can give. And so we'll be doing that on Friday. And then, of course, we have the drive-through Christmas service that we'll be a part of, and that will happen on Sunday evening from 6:30 to 8. And so that should be a great opportunity to experience Christmas in a different way. And then we will wrap up 2020 on Wednesday night, December the 23rd, with another night of Refresh. So still a lot to go as we approach Christmas, but don't forget to make Christ part of your Christmas. All right, we love you guys. Look forward to seeing you soon. Have a great week, and we'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.